As this was going to be my last trip on Let's Live, I decided, why not enjoy it? I had a week's time to get to Townsville, so I decided to stop at some places that I hadn't visited before. First on my list was Beaver Reef. Gee, what an amazing place that is. The little sand island pops its head out for a few hours every day at low tide, and then it just completely disappears again. I spent a couple of hours there, and it's so tiny, it's half of a soccer ground. Amazing that the waves wash up fresh shells and coral every tide, so you find these little gems on there, and the coral in the surrounding area was pretty pristine, quite good fish. I had a perfect little anchorage there all by myself, no one around, and it was just a joy, and it reinforced my ideas of sailing and what I want to do. So that was an amazing first stop on this little trip.
The moving pointer on the map draws your attention to Phantom Island, about 40 miles north of Townsville in Queensland. Here a leprosarium for Aborigines is conducted by the Franciscan Missionaries of Mary. The mission area in view comprises the Sisters Convent, the Mission Church and Presbytery, and the hospital on the extreme right.
I contracted the disease in 1945. I turned 7 in September, and it was October that I was put on the death train and sent across to Phantom. I would have been 7-year-old and almost 1 month, or not even that.
When you lived on Phantom Island and you believed that you were there to die, you call yourselves the living dead. You claimed songs like Angel of Death and Peace in the Valley. That gives a good indication of how people were preparing themselves for their time to come.
The emphasis was overwhelmingly on removal of the problem rather than on care or cure.
Once people were out of sight, they were out of mind as well, so they would go on to some of these institutions and never see the light of day.
Queensland was different. Queensland was much more barbaric.
Phantom Island's like a home to me, and I describe myself as a Phantom Islander. I don't say I'm an ex-patient anymore.
I have 6 children and 21 grandchildren and about 7 great-grandchildren, and I would like them to know this story.
Phantom Island had a pretty grim history, and it had a pretty cold atmosphere as soon as I stepped ashore there. It's everywhere, sort of old rusty bits and pieces left over from the colony that lived there. Pretty funny feeling when you're walking around there. You see the foundations of all the old buildings, and just imagine the people that lived there taken away from their families on the mainland and just sent out to this little island to die. Pretty sad feeling. I did spot a little echidna though. They're amazing little Australian animals, real cool to watch and relatively friendly. The only thing that I saw living on the island still, apart from the echidna, was a bunch of goats. I didn't spot another person or another boat the entire day, and that also lent a bit to the cold feeling I had on the island. But soon enough it was time to jump back aboard and settle down for the night. Phantom Island to Townsville would be my final leg sailing Let's Live. It was a beautiful day with light winds, so I decided to try something I'd been meaning to do for a while, and that is fly my drone while I was sailing alone. Believe me, it was quite a mission, keeping the boat under control at the same time concentrating on flying the drone around, but I got some great footage, so it was really worth it. As I got down in the channel between Magnetic Island and the mainland, the wind started picking up, and I just had the most fun last 2 hours of sailing. It was just a great way to finish, just chugging along at 6.5 knots, and it just made me realise how great a boat it was. I spent the next couple of days packing my personal items, giving the boat a last bit of a clean up, and showing Russell, the new owner, the ins and outs of it. Now it's time to leave. Locked the door and walked off. It wasn't too emotional for me. I'd had the whole week to come to terms with it, and hey, I've got new adventures coming up. And by the way, yes, I'm getting a new boat. That'll be coming up in the next episode.